Oh, what's going on? Today is going to be awesome. We're going to be covering a ton of ground, so you're going to make sure you're paying attention. We've got the intro first, and then we're going to get to it. As I build my coaching business, I want to know how to effectively serve clients and make more money doing it. This podcast will pull back the curtain to reveal exactly how successful coaches are building their empires. Join me as I engage with top coaches from all over the world to discover their secrets. No theatrics and no theory, just real-life strategy. My name is William Winterton, and this is Coaching Success Radio. All right, I'm glad you're tuning in today, and you are going to be glad you are tuning in as well. I have an absolute master of business strategy. He's going to be joining us today in conversation. He is not one for fluff. He is all business, and he knows what he's talking about. His name is Jason Kanigan, and his company, Cold Start Technologies, is all about sniffing out the leaks in businesses, all the bottlenecks and the problems that are causing major issues and headaches for business owners that they don't even know exist. They don't know why things aren't working. This guy is a bloodhound and can figure out how to find those things, tweak them, and solve them. He's got an amazing, awesome story about how he got started, how he figured out who he was going to serve, who his ideal client was going to be. And if you're trying to get more clients in your coaching business, you are really going to appreciate the approach that he took to scale his own company. Let's listen to what Jason has to say.
But would you just give a little overview of what it is that you do?
Sure. These days, it's evolved, right? I've been online since 2010, 2011. Things really took off in 2012 because I niched down. We're going to talk about that a little bit.
Yep.
And so I've run several businesses from here until then. This is the new one. I've been doing this, the business is 2 years old. I've been full-time in it for about 6-7 months. And what we're doing is giving clarity to business owners. There's a lot of messiness out there, people not really understanding their business. But they use it like they use a microwave or a car without understanding the pieces of it. And what results are they getting? Not very good usually. A lot of the time I'll work with multi-million-dollar businesses, $4 million, $5 million businesses, a dozen, 20 employees and whatnot, and we'll straighten out the processes and systems for that. However, just because you may not have a business that large yet, does not mean that you shouldn't be thinking about systems and processes. And especially if you're a solopreneur, you probably are wasting a lot of time. I know I did for years. It took me a long time to calendar out my week and figure out like, oh my gosh, I'm watching the equivalent of stupid cat videos way too many hours of the day. So we help business owners get clarity on their business and get more money out at the end of the day, which usually equals more time as well.
Excellent. And so to get you into that then, so you say you have several things before that you were doing, but I guess the audience here listening to this is going to be a lot of coaches, a lot of people who are in the coaching world. So what compelled you, clearly, just in this few minutes of talking with you and seeing a little bit about you, you clearly are you've got a good structure to kind of how you run things and how you lead your coaching and kind of how you are. What compelled you to be a coach to other businesses and go specifically into entrepreneurs?
Well, I was one myself so
Right.
I realized how much help I needed. I mean, I went through, the first 5 or 6 years of my business thinking I had to do everything, that people were hiring me and only I could do the thing. Right. And wow, that's just not true. And that held me back for so long. And I really want to spread the word that if you're a solopreneur, you don't have to do everything. So that's a big why for why I do what I do. How did I get into this particular thing? I was trained in process engineering, operations management 20 plus years ago back in college. That gave me a foundation. I was a plant manager when I was 25. When I was 26, I had 150 people working for me, this garment factory. Discovered I hated it, hated everything about it. It just wasn't fun managing line employees. And went through a couple of other types of roles and ended up, first business was a sales training business. I ended up doing a lot of sales training, and that led me to larger and larger things and taking on more and more scope, and finally realizing, okay, fine. I always kicked aside the idea, and we'll get into this later with some of your other questions, I think. But I kicked aside the idea of a process engineering business because it was too complex. People didn't know what it was. They still don't know what it was. I try to not talk about it that much because those words make people's eyes glaze over, but they sure like the results. So it's like, eat this pill. It'll make you 6 feet tall, and you'll feel better about yourself. How we get there, that's my problem, not yours. But it just seemed to be that the highest level of impact that I could have on my clients' businesses and their lives was this. And so after many years of avoiding it, I finally just went whole hog into it, and it's been a lot of fun.
But you mentioned a second ago a coach that you're working with. Do you have a coach that somebody coaches you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I pay for coaching all the time.
Yes.
Michael Lassen was the most recent. I paid for a call with him because I had a specific lead gen start of the funnel problem that I needed some advice on, and he was very generous. Actually allowed me to have a second call with him later on because he's thinking about it the way that I do, long-term relationship, right, and also before and after. Right? I do that 2-call thing where you get on with me, we talk about it, I give you my idea for a solution, and you go and implement it on the other side. So previous business we used Joe Girard, who was a great guy from Victoria, BC.
Joe Girard, car salesman? He's a guy.
No, same name, different guy.
I was going to say, man, I didn't think he was even still around.
or I think he's still alive, but
Really?
I'm not sure he's coaching. But this Joe Girard, he's a kind of a redheaded, bearded guy. He's from Victoria, BC.
Okay.
Very good guy, lots of ideas. And I do believe you need an outside coach to keep you on track, because as entrepreneurs and as square and straight line as I am, right, as steady in that sense that I am, I still get off track. I go down rabbit holes. I get involved in stupid ideas that don't pan out, right? I do stuff that doesn't result in anything. And so if that's the case and I need coaching, then these ADD folks really need it, right? You need somebody to rein you in and give you focus, because from focus comes mastery and results. And so if you're in the business world, this is how I see this, especially in the online marketing. Like, we were sold a bill of goods in online marketing. Like, oh, you need the autoresponder, you need the copywriter, you need the website, now you need the website designer, now you need video marketing, right? It never ends. There's always something else you need. You do not need any of this stuff. You don't. And you just need one distribution channel that works for you, one traffic source that works for you, one conversion system that works for you. That's it. There's only a few systems in business that need to actually run, and you need to figure them out. But if you're trying to do all this stuff because somebody else has it and they're saying, oh, I succeeded with this and it looks good and it sounds good, it may not be relevant to you at all. In fact, it probably isn't. And so what happens as entrepreneurs is we find our energies are all spent on 15 different directions, none of which are actually necessary to bringing in clients for the business.
Right. We love our little shiny objects, don't we?
Coaches are critical.
Absolutely. And so it sounds to me like you not only have just one person, but you basically hire specific coaches to a specific problem, right? Like, like if there's something you're struggling with, you'll grab somebody who's going to help you specifically with, your marketing, or with, get me out of this rabbit hole that I'm chasing down, or I need something along the line specifically tailored to a specific problem, rather than it's one person who's going to.
Sometimes, I mean, like I said, in the last business, the closing engine, we did have that ongoing coaching. For myself, I like repeat calls as needed with specific people. And it doesn't always have to be a technical thing. I want to stress this. I'm not always calling up somebody and saying, hey, let's talk about this specific technical issue. Sometimes it's, I had Dane Dormio help me about a mind-body thing. Okay. Right. And I'm not super woo-woo, but I needed that in early January, and the results were great. I mean, I within a week, I started seeing improvements, right? And more orders and things like that. And so I'll tell you a little secret. He did that for me for free. And it was a couple sessions, and they were, first one was a couple hours, I think. And I've been sending him money as I get new orders in, just to give him something in return, because I appreciate it, right?
Sure.
So, there's a lot of help out there. I think that most coaches are either afraid to ask, or they've got their blinders on and they don't see it. Folks are out there. what you do have to do is qualify that person. Like in Dane's case, he knows there was a moment that I said, okay, you can be my coach. Like I believe in you enough. I know that you can help me, and I trust that you're at the right level. You're not some flake that just showed up and said, okay, I want to give away a few free consultations to try and build my book of business or something, get some experience. I knew he already had all that stuff, right? And so what he was doing was expanding his network by talking to new folks and genuinely wanting to help people. So, so you do have to qualify and make sure that this is the right person to help you, right? But
Sure, of course.
there are. I mean, I give free stuff away all the time. You'd probably be surprised. People email me, people message me, and I'm like, okay, this person is not in a position to buy anything from me. They probably won't even implement what I give them, but I'm going to give it to them anyway. I got this thing over here. It's a recorded video series on one web page. What does it cost me to send the link?
Right.
Nothing. Right.
Right.
It's been out for 5 years. I've been making money on it for a long time. Just have it here. Right. And so really, I do want to, I'm going to veer off to the side here for our listeners. One of the worst things you can say to a coach that even that you're not working with, that you're just talking to somebody, if you've stuck up your hand and said, I want help, I need advice, and some experienced person comes and gives it to you, the most irritating thing you can say is something along the lines of, how long will this take? Like to implement or to do.
Right.
It just shows that you've got a loser mindset. Yep. I really have to stress that. Like, please do not do that. It's the most annoying thing of all. And it just shows like, oh, thanks, coach. You know, you've wasted my time, right?
Right.
This person needs to realize they have nothing now.
Yep.
And if they don't implement something new or different, they're not going to have anything in the future. It doesn't matter how long it takes. It doesn't matter if it takes you 6 years. Get started. Right. So anyway, that's my momentary rant.
Oh, that's great. Well, that's the kind of stuff, and I think that's the kind of struggle that, because I'm the same way. I give stuff away constantly. I've had more calls with people that I don't even charge, and I don't even think about charging. I get off the phone, I'm like, they'll never talk to me again, or they'll never whatever. And sometimes they surprise me. Sometimes they'll get the call back.
Yeah.
And
I had a client come back 2 years later.
Yeah.
A month ago, and he was like, "Remember me?" And he wasn't in a position to buy 2 years ago, and now he just came out of the blue, and he's like a well-known copywriter. I'm like, okay, I'll take it, you know. Yeah, it's funny how you never know when this payback is going to come. But I don't even look at it that way. I just look at it. I'm broadcasting. I'm broadcasting value as much as I can.
I had a question though. So you give me like 10 things. I'm going, oh gosh, I want to ask you this. And then you go on, well, that's even better. So now I'm going back and forth. And I am interested though, again, kind of going back to the audience a little bit about with what you do with coachings, and whenever you have your coaching, your one-on-one kind of a conversation prior to somebody hiring you and bringing you on. You mentioned I was curious, and I had heard this from one other coach before, and I had not ever done this before, but you have a one-on-one session, and then it sounds like you give them some time, and then you might come back and have a second session with them before they actually sign in to be your client. Is that what you had said something about, about giving them something? What was that alluded to? Because somebody had
we'll have to watch the recording.
Okay,
I'll have to catch up with you on that. So normally what happens, is maybe I was talking about the content that they see and consume before they talk to me.
It may have been. I thought maybe I heard something off, but then
they'll book a call. We'll talk. We usually talk for 40 minutes. That's usually about how long it takes, because they already know me and they already know that there's value, and they've got it's honestly kind of a murky idea of how I'm going to help them, and I clear that up on the call.
Sure.
And then usually I send them an invoice on the call, and they pay it right then, like 90% of the time. If it's not a fit, that's fine too, and we realize it. And I'm not interested in dragging people across the finish line, if you will. If it's not a fit, that's cool. You know.
And whenever you have a client that you're bringing in, you've been working with them for a short bit, but have you ever had that situation where you can tell pretty quickly that, it started off on the right track, but this is clearly not a fit and it's not going to work? Have you ever been in that situation where?
It's rare, because so for sales process, my superpower is qualifying. Right? It's what I concentrate on, focus on. I'm not big on closing. My close is, so what do you want to do next, William?
Yeah.
Like, it's all laid out there. Like, you want to think about it or what, right? And usually they'll say, okay, or they'll ask me, how do we work together? Well, I send you an invoice, you pay it, and we schedule our first call. I mean, it's so straightforward, and it's not insulting or anything like that. Like, there's no pressure there. It's just, if you don't want to do that, tell me, right? So, okay, I'm not going to say that I've never had bad clients before, right? Despite the great qualifying. Sometimes there have been times, and it's usually oh, geez, I need money kind of situation, right? The last time this happened was in 2015, though, so it's been a while.
Yeah.
And I keep thinking of that as 3 years ago. It's 4 years ago now, Jason. Where what I found is that the person just doesn't do anything. They in these rare circumstances, they pay the money. They don't want a refund because they have some sense of responsibility and they know it's on them. But there's just excuses about why this or that didn't happen. So yeah, generally I would advise refunding and getting out of there in that situation. I haven't had that happen in a while.
Which points to being,
it hurts in the short term, but on the other hand, you're opening up space, and something will probably come in to fill that space. So, yeah, the way to get around that is to do what I've done with Cold Star, where you design, you productize your service. I'm not the only guy to talk about this. Alze Calhoun's another great guy. You might want to talks about this even better than I do, about the productizing your service. Think about it like a bus trip. I get on at 4th and Elm and I get off at 63rd and, whatever, right? And there's a point A and a point B, and that's where I pick them up and that's where I drop them off. And as long as we stay in that scope and I'm in control as the product or, service provider, right? How can anything go wrong?
Right.
And I make it clear, and I'm filtering for those people who are at point A and want to go to point B. That's my marketing. Right. So I got a quick video series. I think there's only 6 or 7 videos on it, and I'm adding to it. They're 2 or 3 minute videos of things we fix at Cold Star Tech. And all I'm doing there is talking about symptoms of problems that we fix. Like a key employee is about to leave. You got to grab that institutional knowledge before they're gone. Because even if you have an exit interview, after they're gone. They're not going to return your calls. You're not going to be able to access the information they have in their heads. It's too late. Right? So details like that. So having them talk to us, where we can extract that knowledge in a friendly way, write it down, write the processes down. Because a lot of the time you'll find people go, what does that person over there even do? They don't even know. And then when they're gone, it's gone.
Right.
So talking about these symptoms. So clearing that up, that point A to point B of the delivery of your business, I think is really, really important. And that can be done in any business. I mean, I was talking with an interior decorator today. That business can be productized. You can have flow chart for that, right? Get in and out of the house, right? What pieces of furniture go in first? What goes in next? When do you take it down, right? There could be a checklist. It doesn't have to be this super complicated thing that you record in some kind of task management software or something like that, right? It can be literally a written down clipboard sheet, but have it because it will make you better. Even doing this podcast, there's a process for this podcast, and many podcast creators, hosts have written this stuff down. How do I do it? Because you do not want to be in the position of having to make it up every time as you go along. That is very inefficient. Even if you're like, oh, I know this. I'm the expert, right? You're still going to miss stuff. You're going to add stuff. I mean, there was a video from a couple who do RV videos, so recreational vehicles, right? Talking about this stuff. They accidentally talked about processes. They said, among many other things, after we take a trip with the RV, we meet and we talk about what worked well and what didn't work well for next time.
Right.
Like, what did we do this Halloween trip, right? What did we do this year? Well, okay, next year comes around. Oh, I forgot about that, right? But it's written down for you to remember it. Right. So it's not just for rich, big companies with lots of people, this stuff. Getting clarity in your business, super important. You know what you're going to do today. I find that's a huge issue for the internet marketing driven businesses, the coaches out there. They don't know what they're going to do today. I do.
Well, I got to be honest. This has been fascinating. I appreciate you coming in and sharing this. And do you have any final words, any thoughts, anything you want to share?
I guess if you want to, I went to an Action Coach event this week locally, or last week, I guess, late last week. Action Coach is a national franchise. Okay. They're not quite like what we do. They kind of try and squeeze you into their funnel, their processes of how to do things. I help you discover your own, basically. And that would be the difference. And there's nothing wrong with them, by the way, but I really like this. So I was quoted in Inc. magazine about productivity. So you think I might know something about that, right? But I'm always learning, and I got a brand new perspective on this method. What you can do as a business owner, and nobody does this, William. So they only do it when they've paid me. So anybody who goes and actually, if you go do this, you're going to get great value out of it, okay? And I will be impressed if you do this. Record what you do every half hour for a week, for 5 days, and then look at what it was, okay? And look at each task. Now, what I would have told you to do was to batch everything. So take all the writing stuff and plop it onto one day, take all the phone calls and put that onto another day and that kind of thing. Like my Wednesdays, I don't book anything. You cannot book anything on my calendar on Wednesdays. That's set aside for deep work, for example. And that's that batch, right? And that's where I would have stopped. But the Action Coach presenting said, take these tasks. He didn't talk about batching at all. Put them on a graph, and you have skill level, high and low on one side, and fun factor, left to right. And what you really want are the things that are requiring skill and are fun. That's really what you as the business owner should be working on right now. Yeah. Right? And the stuff that's no fun and low skill, why are you doing that? Pay someone to do that. It's going to be cheap and it's going to free up your time, right? The danger zones are the low skill, high fun, which again, you shouldn't be doing. You should probably give that up, or at least some of it, right? Yeah. Going to the mailbox to find out, ooh, is there treasure in my mailbox, right? That's kind of fun, but it's low skill. Somebody else really ought to be doing that. Yeah. And then the bottom right zone, high skill, low fun. That could be like accounting for a lot of people, bookkeeping, right? You probably want to delegate this, but there might be some tasks in that high skill, low fun quadrant that you do want to keep and you should concentrate on, because they're that keep your thumb on the business kind of thing, on the pulse, right? Sort of thing that you really do need to be doing. But at least once you're aware of it, you can manage it, as opposed to it just being this barf all over your calendar. I'm looking over here because I have a huge 43-inch TV that I use as my main monitor, and the calendar is up, and all these events are here, and it's just like blah, But there is organization to it, right? Because I've said, let's do this, let's do that. But that sorting of skill and fun, and getting a clear idea on that is something that you can do as a coach, business owner right now. You don't need to hire anybody to do it. And the insights from it and how you're using your time and what you can do to improve should be very powerful for you.
So again, it kind of goes back to that point you're making about, you're not going to be able to diagnose the problem until you actually see what the problem is. And if you don't know how you're spending your days and your weeks, then you're not ever be able to take that. So that's actually a great exercise. And and I will commit to doing. I've heard several scenarios similar to that. But not with the chart, not like that. So appreciate you sharing that. So thank you again. I got to be honest, Jason. Again, this was a great conversation. I hope it was good for you as well. And I hope you all the best in your success in your business.
Thanks, William.
Wow, that was awesome. Thank you so much for tuning in and checking us out. New episodes are coming out every few days, including lots of conversations with massively successful coaches sharing their secrets with you. So be sure to subscribe to our podcast and YouTube channel so that you don't miss out. And if you're looking for a way to start making serious money from your coaching, you need to check out my free training. It's at williamwinterton.com. I lay out the step-by-step on how to start making 5 figures a month in the next 60 days. Check it out, williamwinterton.com. I'll see you next time.